Hey guys, welcome to the video on chapter 1, section 1. The point of this video is to get you guys introduced with some of the basic concepts of chapter 1. And some of you guys who were here the very first few weeks of class, you might recognize this PowerPoint. I had to dig through all my stuff to find you because I realized I did not have a chapter 1 video up. So I'm going to go ahead and create that now. There are essentially 8 characteristics of life. Some people say there are 7, but that's because they take made of cells and displays organization and they make that just 1. So what we have is we have 8 characteristics. The first one is made of cells. Second is displays organization. Then third we have grows and develops. Fourth we have reproduces. Fifth we have responds to stimuli. Number 6 is they require energy. 7 is it maintains homeostasis. And 8 is that adaptations will evolve. They'll change over time. Now, I want to go over each one of these individually, give you an idea of what they mean in a practical way. The first one is made of cells. The basic idea here is really simple, is that all life is made up of basic building blocks that we call cells. They are essentially like small little organized factory that each one has some kind of purpose, and many of them can move. Not all of them can, but many of them can. Essentially though, they're just small little organic factories that serve some kind of a purpose. The second one we call is displayed organization. What this essentially means is that life is organized from the atom on up. A way to think about this is that form follows function. So for an example, we look at this spider here to my right. He has 2 big eyes on the front. Those 2 big eyes allow him to see really well when he's looking at his prey. So the form, the big eyes, follows the function, lets him see prey. So the life, the cells, the parts of his body all work together. They are organized to achieve some kind of objective. And for this spider, that objective is to find food and to make babies. So every part of his body is organized to do that in some way. The next one is called grows and develops. This is really 2 different concepts, but they do sort of come together. Grows is the idea that you just increase in mass. You go from being small to big. You go from being skinny to fat, stuff like that. Life tends to increase in size and mass. Develops is a little different. Develops is the idea that you gain new abilities over time. So an example here that I have on the left, that I have here on the right, is example of a butterfly. The butterfly goes from a caterpillar, which gets into a cocoon, which then eventually develops into a full-fledged butterfly. This is a great example of develops because the caterpillar is gaining a new ability, and it's actually losing some abilities too, but it's just changing. It's developing into something different. The next one is reproduces. This one's easy, guys. I think you can figure this out. This is the idea that you make babies. If you look at this frog right here, he has a whole bunch, it's a she, has a whole bunch of little eggs inside of him. All life makes babies. All life reproduces. All life makes more copies of itself, or in some cases, some animals, they have children that are usually half the mom and half the dad. The next one is they respond to stimuli. This is the idea that life reacts to its environment. So if you do something, if you do something to something that's alive, it will usually respond in some way. So if an angry student decides to throw a punch at Mr. Russell, I'm probably going to react to that punch. However, if I throw a punch at a wall or a rock or my coffee mug, they're not really going to react to that. They're not going to try to dodge it. The coffee mug isn't going to pull a Matrix style move where it dodges the punch as it's coming in, because it cannot respond to stimuli. But life can respond to those kinds of things. The next one is that life requires energy to survive. Energy essentially comes in a couple of forms. You guys are probably really familiar with this now because we've gone over everything up to chapter 4 at least. when I made this video. So you know that you can get energy from sunlight, those are the autotrophs. You can get energy from food, those are the heterotrophs. And you can also get energy from heat and a few other things as well, which is some of the geothermal life you see over here, which are called extremophiles. These are all ways you can get food and get energy in some way. And all life requires energy to maintain everything I've talked about beforehand, like maintain the cells, maintain organization, and all that. The next one is called maintains homeostasis. This is a fancy way of saying you have to maintain a balance within your body. So a good example is if you go for a run, your body sweats. You might ask the question, why does my body sweat? Why does it care? Does it do it just to make me smell bad? No, your body sweats because sweat helps to cool you down. If you get too hot, your body will quite literally overheat and you will die because you're out of balance. You no longer, because essentially it kills your proteins, which you'll learn about later on, but essentially it can kill you to be too hot. So your body tries to find ways to maintain the right temperature, to maintain the right amount of energy, to maintain everything working in proper order. This is called homeostasis, and it's the idea that life has to maintain balance. The last one is called adaptations evolve over time. This is the simple idea that certain traits, certain things that make you what you are passed down from your parents to offspring. Good example would be for Mr. Russell would be the fact that my eye color is blue. My mom's eye color is blue and my dad's is, I believe, green. So I got my blue eyes from my parents and those were passed down to me. Now, let's think of some evil universe where somebody was trying to kill people who only had blue eyes. Well, that would mean that I wouldn't be very good shape. So that would mean I would not be adapted to that environment because someone is trying to kill everyone who has blue eyes. That would make it more difficult for me to survive. Another example would be the skin colors everyone always sees. The farther north you move, usually skin tones become lighter and lighter and lighter, whereas the farther south you are, more towards the equator, the darker your skin color is. You might sit there and say, well, why is that? And the reason it comes down to it's a balancing act between making folic acid and the ability to resist damage that's caused from the sun. If your skin is too white, then you are very susceptible to damage from the sun and you have a very high likelihood of getting cancer. If your skin is too dark, then you're not going to make enough folic acid if you don't get enough sunlight. So people who have darker skin are better protected from skin cancer, but they have a harder time making folic acid. So these adaptations, they come from their parents. If your parents had dark skin, you're probably going to have dark skin. There are some exceptions to that, but you're going to have dark skin, and that will help you. Now, if your family moves farther north, and you stay there for a few hundred years, eventually your skin tone will turn to a lighter skin tone as well because there are adaptations that take place that will slowly shift you towards a skin color that's more advantageous for your environment. And that's what an adaptation is. And that's it, guys. Hopefully this will help you guys for the final exam, and I will talk to you later.